Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to walk you through some of the most useful resources I used while preparing for the MRCP PACES exam. So, how long do you actually need to prepare for PACES? Honestly, there's no fixed timeline. It really depends on your individual circumstances and your clinical experience. Personally, I did around 4 weeks of focused intensive revision. But for many people, especially those with busier rotas or less hands-on experience, 2 to 3 months of steady prep tends to be more manageable. It's not about how long you prepare, it's about how well you prepare. Go at your own pace and do what works for you. When planning your PACES prep, there are a few key factors to keep in mind. First, your clinical experience and exposure to science. If you've done jobs with lots of patient contact, you may already feel confident with common findings. Think about your study style. Some people work best on their own, while others prefer practicing in groups. Go with what keeps you consistent. Your work rota makes a big difference. If you're doing frequent on-calls or night shifts, it may take longer to find consistent time and energy for revision. And finally, look at how many opportunities you have to practice on real patients. That hands-on time is incredibly valuable and can make a big difference in your confidence going into this exam. Before we dive in this video I'll be sharing a range of resources I used while preparing for PACES. I started my prep around 4 weeks before the exam, so I used quite a few different tools to give myself the best possible chance of passing. Please don't feel overwhelmed by the list, that's not the intention. The goal here is to simply make you aware of what's out there so you can explore what works best for you. At the end of the day, it's about picking and choosing the resources that suit your study style, your work schedule, and your level of experience. One of the main resources I used during my PACES preparation was Pastest. It was the primary platform I relied on, and in my experience, one of the most useful overall. They also offer a free trial, which allows you to explore the content before deciding whether to subscribe. Key reasons I recommend Pastest is because they have a comprehensive video library covering all PACES stations. It's a good place to learn practicing presentation of common clinical cases. They have dedicated content for communication scenarios. I feel it's a well-rounded platform that may be worth exploring, especially if you're looking for structured video-based revision. Next up is the Cases for PACES textbook. It has all the key topics you need for the exam. It was actually the only textbook I used, as PACES is a clinical exam and reading loads of books isn't necessary. The latest edition came out in 2024, so it's up to date. Another great resource is the MRCP Bites website. It's especially useful for stations 2 and 5, with clinical scenarios across a range of specialties. It helps you practice thinking through differentials, investigations, and management plans, all skills that are key for the consultation stations. It works particularly well if you have a friend to practice the cases with. That said, it's a paid resource, so it's not essential, especially if you're already using the consultation cases on Pastest, which may be enough for your prep. Another resource I found really helpful was the Clinical Skills Pro website. They offer a range of free materials, but the most useful for me was their list of the top 10 cases that commonly come up in each specialty. I used that as a guide to focus my revision and work out which stations I needed to spend more time on. The list was last updated in 2022, but I still think it's very relevant to the current exam. It's worth browsing through their website to get familiar with the most commonly tested stations. There are also a few other free resources that I found helpful during prep. First is the Pre-PACES podcast. It's great if you're commuting or want something to listen to on the go. It's available on both Spotify and Apple Music. Next is the Learn Him website. It's especially useful if you have a study partner to quiz you on clinical scenarios. And finally, don't forget the MRCP UK website. They've got sample scenarios and station briefs that are really helpful. It's worth going through these to get familiar with how each station runs and to plan how you'll use the 5 minutes before each station starts. I'd recommend attending a PACES course if you have the time and budget. I attended the Ealing PACES course, which runs over a weekend. It was a great way to practice common PACES stations and also helpful for seeing rarer conditions that often appear in the exam. For example, I saw a patient with Charcot-Marie-Tooth disease on the course. That helped me build a mental image of the signs to look for if it were to come up in the exam, and definitely made me feel more confident going into the exam. It is quite an expensive course, so if you're eligible for a study budget, make sure to claim it. There are other options like Past PACES and PACES Ahead, though I haven't personally attended those. The biggest benefit of attending a course is that it lets you simulate exam conditions, practice presenting, and getting direct feedback. That said, it's completely optional, especially if you're already confident identifying signs, presenting cases, and handling questions in a timed setting. I'll give you some quick tips that really helped me during my prep. Try to practice a few cases each week in your hospital and focus on quality over quantity. Make sure to simulate exam conditions by timing your examinations. It's really helpful to have someone observing you. I was lucky to have a registrar on my ward who watched me examine and gave detailed feedback, which was invaluable. Reflect on each case and think about how you can improve the next time. If your hospital has a PACES group, definitely join. It's a great way to learn from others. And finally, one of the most important things I learned, practicing how to present your cases and answering questions. This is crucial. This is really where you show the examiner your knowledge. You might have a lot of knowledge, but if you don't practice this part, it may not come across confidently on the day. I'd really suggest doing this with a study partner, and if that's not possible, even practicing in front of a mirror can make a big difference. That's it from me. All the resources I've mentioned in this video are linked in the description below. If you have any questions or need clarification on anything I've covered, feel free to drop a comment. I'll do my best to get back to you. Thank you for watching. I really hope you're finding these videos helpful as you prepare for PACES. If you are, please consider subscribing to the channel. It really helps and means a lot. And I'll see you in the next video.